Houston Gunn, thanks for joining us on the Illinois Channel. And we are here at the Illinois Library Association annual conference in Springfield, Illinois. And you, at a young age, because you're just how old now?
I am 17 years old. 17
years old, and yet you have two books out. And I'll hold them up just briefly to show the audience. You have two books. We'll put the title up. But it's interesting that anyone would write a book while they're still in high school. And what grade in high school are you now?
Currently, I'm a senior in high school, and I started writing my first book when I was 14 and a freshman in high school.
And the first book was Schooled for Success, and the subtitle is How I Plan to Graduate from High School a Millionaire. Number one, you told me off camera, which is also kind of interesting. I think you said you flunked your English class in freshman year?
Yes,
but then you wrote a book in sophomore year.
Absolutely.
How did this happen? And let's go to also the title. Tell us how you came to write the book, but also, did you plan to graduate from high school millionaire, and now that you're a senior, how's that going?
Well, I'll start with the goal first, and actually I set the goal of how I plan to graduate from high school millionaire when I was the first day of high school as a freshman with the Welcome to High School Assembly, where the leadership teacher at my school went on and made an announcement that if you get good grades, go on to college, get a degree, and get on job, on average you'll earn $1 million in your lifetime. And I started to do the math as everyone was cheering for that. If you were to work for, let's say, 50 years of your life from age 22 to 72 by the time you get out of college, only to make $1 million in your lifetime, that's only $20,000 a year, not including any expenses. So I really set the goal because everyone should be worth more than $1 million in your lifetime. So I've decided, why not try to graduate from high school millionaire? Because $1 million isn't what it seems like anymore from even what it was 5 years ago.
I remember when $1 million was a lot of money.
Absolutely. And now as far as writing the book, it came later in my freshman year. If you would have asked me up until that point if I wanted to write a book, I would have said, no way, never in a million years. But I had to do a job shadow assignment for one of my classes, and I decided to job shadow a mentor of mine. And during the job shadow interview that I share in my book that I had to conduct, he actually flipped a question around on me and basically challenged me to write a book and get mine done before he gets his next book done. And I decided to,
and that challenge spurred you. So how did you decide on a topic? And again, the Schooled for Success. How did you pick a topic and just incorporate into your answer? What did you learn along the way about writing a book?
Well, I decided to choose the topic of just business, financial literacy, and just stuff to help you be more successful, because that's kind of what I started to get exposed to. As when I was in 7th grade, my family started taking me to attend business and real estate seminars so I could learn how business works, how money works, and how just other industries work. For example, like real estate was one of the ones that I learned about, and I actually ended up getting involved at the age of 13. But as far as it goes about writing the books, it was definitely an incredible learning experience, and learning, okay, now that you have it written, how do you get it published, how do you get it into stores, and how do you get it distributed? And even now doing this book tour, besides taking it as a great way to make money, it's also, being my age, being so young, I'm taking it as an incredible educational opportunity for whatever it might be that I might be doing later on, even 10 years down the road. It's also an incredible educational opportunity and educational experience.
I have 3 boys, and I always tell them you learn more by doing than you do by sitting in a classroom, and you're learning probably a heck of a lot.
Absolutely. You've got to take action and get started somewhere.
You write in, just to pick randomly here, you go, as I got older, about 7 or 8 years old, I started asking my mom how much money each job would pay, and she would tell me the truth. And I think that's interesting, because so many times parents don't talk about money with their kids, and so the kids grow up to be financially illiterate. That's probably one of the things that parents ought to do, right? Talk about money with kids.
Absolutely. Now, there obviously is a fine line of what you tell them, and one thing, I come from an entire family of entrepreneurs. Even my grandma and my great-grandparents were also entrepreneurs, but one thing that they always did is they kept me involved, whether it be taking me to meetings or just watching them work whenever I wasn't in school or whenever I wasn't busy, and even going and helping out doing small things. And that's one thing that really helped. Now obviously, like I said, there's a fine line. If stuff was personal or private information that they didn't feel should be shared, then they wouldn't necessarily tell me, but they would keep me involved. Like they would teach me. I started learning how to count change at such a young age. And actually, a small story that I'll share that I talk about in my second book is when I was about 7 or 8 years old, getting older, I actually approached my mom, who had a dance studio that she actually opened when she was 17, and I decided to ask her, if I can sell the different concession stands and different novelty items at your recital, can I kind of keep the profit? And she said, okay, yes. Once you sell and everything's paid off, you can keep the profit of what's left, because she saw that as a learning experience for me, because I would be rewarded based on how hard I worked and how much effort I put in. So it's just stuff like that they kept getting me involved.
And that flamed the fires of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, at such a young age. And maybe people who don't come from a family of entrepreneurs, they might say, well, I don't have that same opportunity. And I'm very fortunate to come from a family of entrepreneurs. But if maybe you want to get and learn more about it, just reach out in your community. Like, for example, if you like cooking, reach out to a local restaurant and maybe just look about finding a mentor, because a mentor can have a huge impact on your life.
I think that's good advice. Let me go back, though. You wanted to be a millionaire by the time you graduated. You're now a senior. How are you doing toward that goal?
Well, I'm on track, and I get closer every day, and I'm doing whatever steps I can.
Are you actually getting close? I mean, have you done, reasonably well toward that goal?
I have done reasonably well, and I'm just putting in more and more effort. And actually, this whole first semester of my senior year, I'm doing online, really taking time off so I can travel and promote my books and just put in as much effort as I can to strive to reach my goal by the time I graduate.
On your School for Success, Chapter 5, you have the title, A Goal Without a Date is Just a Dream. You say, put your goal in writing and look at it every day. Set your goal and put a plan in place to reach the goal. And then you say a goal without a date is just a dream. It's like people say, someday I want to be rich. There's no date on that. You have to say, I want to be, as you did, a millionaire by the time I'm out of high school. Or I had someone I know who said they wanted to be a millionaire by the time they were 30. So then you can judge if you're on track to get there.
Absolutely, and goals are an incredible thing. And one of the things about goals, though, that you always want to set the date and you want to be held accountable, but one of the biggest things with goals is if you somehow don't reach the date of your goal, you never want to give up and throw it away and just get all down about it. You want to analyze and see what you did, what you could do better, and then you want to set a further date and still continue to strive to reach your goal and never give up.
I won't ask how much you actually made, but we will say that if you set a goal to be a millionaire and if you got out of high school and all you had done was have $30,000, how many kids in high school have $30,000?
Not that many.
Not that many. And so it is very good to have that kind of a goal and to be able to pace yourself and then start thinking. You get what some have called the possibility thinking, right? How can I achieve that goal? What should I do?
Absolutely.
Let me ask, so what's the future now that you've had this experience? You've got 2 books under your belt. Where do you want to go from here?
Well, there are so many things that I have in the works and stuff that I plan to do, but some of the 2 biggest projects that I'm excited about that are going to be coming out pretty soon is I'm now a partner in a new online digital magazine called Rocket Magazine, and that's ROCKIT, as well as I'm now a 25% partner in a new publishing company called Rocket Press, still ROCKIT, and those are some of the 2 projects that are in the forefront right now that are about to start.
Before we let you go, School for Success, your first book, has a blurb on the cover from Donald Trump. How did you get that?
Well, when I get asked this a lot, obviously, I can never give you the exact reason of why he decided to give me the interview, but I can tell you how I started to reach out and get the contact, and it really relates to the message of just always ask, and that is really one of my life mottos, because it's definitely been the biggest impact on me, because without it I wouldn't be where I am today. And one of the things I say is being told no is better than not knowing at all. And believe me, you're going to be told no more than you're going to take yes, but you got to take that risk and take that chance. And it really, I just started reaching and calling one person at just the regular Trump Towers, and I just started to simply ask, and
you called one person after another,
kept bouncing back and forth, and eventually got to emails,
and then he responded to you, and probably as one entrepreneur to another thought it was cool that you were a young kid chasing
Absolutely.
An entrepreneurial dream.
And believe it or not, when I wanted to get all these interviews from all the famous entrepreneurs for my first book, School for Success, I sent out over 100 requests to all the famous entrepreneurs, business owners, athletes as well, because the Summer Olympics were going on at the time. And out of the 100 requests that I sent out, Donald Trump was the first and only response granting me an interview for my book. So believe me when I say you're going to be told no more than you're going to hear yes.
On the other hand, if you go fishing, you don't expect to catch a fish every time you throw your line in the water, but if you come home with a stringer full of fish, you did pretty well, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Houston Gunn, thanks for joining us, and best wishes.
Thank you.